Alright, let's get down to business. And the very first thing you need to do to advertise on Facebook is to get a business manager account, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. So the first step you want to do is that you want to go to this address called business.facebook.com. If you have not opened an account with them before, then this will be a page that you see right now. Just want to let you know that you need to be logged in with your Facebook personal profile first before you can create a business manager account with them. And I'm not going to go through every single detail here because it's a very simple, straightforward process. What you want to do is that you want to go to the top right here, click on create account, and just fill in the details. Now all this is rather self-explanatory, and I am using a test account just to demonstrate this. So let's just go down to it right now. Okay, your business and account name, we'll just put it your business name. Okay, I'm making this up by the way. It should actually be your name, maybe your business name, private limited. Your actual name. So in this case here, this is the name of this Facebook account that I am doing a test right now. And when you add in your business email, it has to be the same email address that you use for your personal Facebook account. All right. So I'm just going to add in this over here as well. This is the email address that is attached to this particular personal account. All right. Click next. And all you need to do is just enter your address and your details. So for example, I'm just going to put Singapore. Okay, so what I've just done here is that I've entered my details, my physical address, or you can put it whether it's your home or your office address, that's okay. You will need to put in a website. So if you already have a website, just put it in here. If you don't have a website, for the time being, you can just put in your Facebook page address, and you can do just that. And don't worry, you can always edit that out afterwards. Now the next part is a little important. Business use. This account primarily uses Facebook tools or data to promote its own goods or services or provide services to other business. Now, choosing either one of this is not a problem, but I would recommend most of the time that you just put promote its own goods and services, because most of the time that's exactly what you are doing. And if you plan to run Facebook ads for someone else later, for your clients, you can always change this afterwards down the line. So yeah, that's about it, right? Click on submit. It'll probably take several seconds to create your business manager account. And what's going to happen is that you will arrive at a page like this. So after this, every time you log into business.facebook.com, you will arrive at the business manager interface that looks something like this. So I already have an ad account created here. If you're seeing this for the first time, you should see absolutely nothing at all. It should be a very clean slate. And in the other videos, I'll show you how to create your ad account, how to add pages, and other configurations that you can do. So if you already reached this page, then congratulations, you have just opened your business manager account with Facebook. After creating a business manager account, the next step that you want to do is that you want to create your ad account. So I'm going to use one of my business accounts to demonstrate how to do it. And as a new beginner or as a new user, you're going to see absolutely nothing here at the moment, especially the ad account. It's not going to show anything at all. So let's get started, okay? We'll click on business settings on the left. And then we're going to hover down to accounts and add accounts. So again, if your account is brand new, you're going to see totally nothing here at all. And what you want to do is you want to click on the add button here and select create a new ad account. So a lot of people might intuitively select the first one, add an ad account. That's not what we're going for. We're going for the third one, create a new ad account. So at this point, you can give it any name you like. You can name it after your product, after your company, or after your brand. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to call it product name. Okay. And personally, I would also like to add the currency that I'm going to advertise this account in. So I'm just going to put US dollars here, okay, or USD in short. Time zone, it auto detects to your current time zone. So assuming that you are living in the United States, you're going to put in your time zone. So I'm just going to go with Eastern time, okay? GMT minus 5. All right, I think that should be Eastern time around here. Okay, there we go. All right, and currency, you can put in USD or US dollars. Now, there's no right or wrong here. You can put it in whichever currency that you're comfortable with. It could be Sing dollars, it could be pounds, Australian dollars. It's totally up to you. There's no advantage whatsoever. So once we're done, we're going to click on next, and you're going to be asked a rather familiar question. This ad account will be used for your own business, or is it going to be used for other people? In a sense that if you're planning to run an agency and advertise on the behalf of your clients, you will select the second choice. All right. But I would say that it's just better off that you just select my business, just to keep things simple. There's no right or wrong. And once we're done, we just click create, and that's it. You already have your first ad account. After creating your business manager account and creating your ad account, the next step that we're going to do is that we're going to add a payment method. So to do just that, in the business settings, you will scroll down to payments, and you'll arrive at a page like this. And you're going to click on add payment method. And this is where you will add in your credit or debit card. Now, I'm not going to actually put in my own details, but just want to give you a couple of heads up based on my personal experience is that when you add your credit card or debit card for the matter, you might get a small little charge of an equivalent of $1. And that's just Facebook's way of validating and verifying your credit card. So you might get an SMS notification or an email notification about it, depending on your arrangement with your credit card company. But not to worry, that this amount is refundable to you within the next few working days. So it's just an equivalent of $1 to verify and validate your card. And on a more personal note, if you don't have a credit card, yes, you can add in a debit card, but for security reasons, I would still encourage that you get a credit card eventually, because with a debit card, if anything happens to your account, as in hacking attempts or fraud, you can't really dispute that, and you can't fight off the charges unless you deliberately use a virtual credit card or a bank account with not a lot of savings inside. That might be okay, all right? But most of the time, I still recommend that you use a credit card, or at the very least, a virtual credit card, okay? So once you add this in, you will click on continue, and you're done, all right? I'm going to make this video rather brief, and just in case you want to tidy up some of your details pertaining to your Facebook Business Manager account. So how you're going to do just that is by going to business settings and scroll all the way down to business info, and you will arrive at a page like this. Now, some of these details here should look familiar to you when you log into your account, because these were the details that you had filled in when you created your Facebook Business Manager account. So let's start off head to toe, all right? This is the name of the business account that I'm using for an example here. So you might notice that there's a blank thumbnail over here. We'll click on that, edit, and click over here. And what we can do is that you can add a picture or a logo. And I'm just using this as an example, all right? Let's just say I want to use this as a logo. I click submit, and there we go. All right, I'm just using this as an example. If you want to edit any of the details here, such as the legal name, the address, phone number, website, tax ID, you can just click on edit and make the changes here. Another thing of interest here is that you click on notifications. This is on the left here. And if you want to just control the noise that you're receiving, whether it's from push notifications or email, whenever there's an activity going on in your business account. But truth to be told, as you run Facebook ad campaigns, you don't really need to know every single thing there is. So you want to probably consider minimizing the noise or the amount of emails that you receive as an update, like from every actions that you do. So what you can do is that you can choose to turn on or turn off any of the push notifications or email for anything here. So personally, all right, I'll still leave all this turned on because these are really important information. Marketing updates, personally, I turned everything off, and that's exactly what I just did here. Partner program updates, I think this is not important as well. I just turned everything off. Pages, this is up to you. Normally, I would just like to get a push notification. So what push notification means that every time you get a notification at the top right with a red icon, that's what push notification is. I don't really need an email notification every time someone likes or even like leaves a comment. I think that's not important, so I'm going to turn that off. Ad accounts, this is totally up to you. You can have both of this on, but as you run more ad accounts, it might get a little bit noisy. You might want to consider turning off the email notification. WhatsApp, I do not use WhatsApp accounts, so I'm going to turn this off. If you do, you can leave it on. I don't do e-commerce in my case, so I'm going to turn off catalogs. Pixels, I think this is, we're just going to turn off the email notification. And as for apps, if you're going to run any conversions or campaigns about apps, then you can leave this on, otherwise you can turn this off. So yeah, this will just help you minimize your noise and clutter a little bit more. And now this is not exactly an important thing to do, but I think it just helps you minimize the noise and keep your business manager account rather tidy. Okay, so at this point, let's just do a quick recap. You had already created your business manager account, and that's why we're seeing this. We had already created your ad account, and that's why we're seeing this as well. And you might have also added your payment method and done some slight configurations and tidying up of your business manager details. Now, before we can confidently and actually start advertising on Facebook, there's still one more thing that we need to do, and that's to use a Facebook page. So right now, at this point, you don't have any just yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to start creating or add an existing page that you might have. So to do that, we'll go to business settings. And as you can see here in this account, if it's brand new like what you're doing right now, you're not going to have any pages. So we're going to click on add, and we have three choices here. The first choice is to add a page that you already have. So if you had already created a Facebook page before, what we're going to do is we're going to actually just simply add it, all right? And you'll type in the name of your Facebook page. So I'm just using this as an example, by the way. So let's just say this is a page that we have owned. We'll just click on add page, and you wouldn't have any problems whatsoever adding this. As long as you are the original admin of this page, then it will be added by default. Now, the other way is that you can click on request access to a page. So what it explains here is that your business needs to use this page on behalf of another business. So if you're working as an agency, normally you need to click on request access to a page, and the admin of that page or the originator will have to grant you access on his or her end, okay? But let's just say that you don't have an existing page right now, and that means you need to make a new one. So we're going to do just that. It's very simple. Let's create a brand new page. Now, there's plenty of tutorials on this out there. In fact, I'm a little bit, I would say, hesitant to actually show this because this is actually quite intuitive, you know. But I'll tell you what, I'll just do this for completion's sake, all right? So you're being asked, choose a category for the page that you're about to make. So it's totally up to you. If you are a restaurant or a premise, we're just going to choose local business. If you're doing it as a company, we just choose company, all right? Let me just go back there again. That's brand or product. So you're saying e-commerce, you probably choose this. If you're going to put position yourself as the authority figure, we'll click on this one. And entertainment and cause or community. So it's all very straightforward, all right? So I'll tell you what, since this is just a simple task, I'm just going to click on brand or product, and I'm just going to give it a simple name. Maybe I'll just call it all right, so I'm just making this up, by the way, it's not a real thing. All right, BMW Motor Works, I'm going to just choose a category for this one. You just choose the right category. Cars, and we'll click on create page. So here we are right now. We have just created an empty Facebook page, and at this point, to be very frank, you don't have to overthink this part. If you don't have to basically use this page forever. If you don't like using this page, you can either change the name or just create another one, because it's just that simple. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to do some editing and some configuration. So we're going to click on view page and start putting in some changes that we're going to do, all right? So at this point, we can click on the page here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to ignore this, all right? We're going to click X on this. We don't really need that. there's a wizard that shows you that you're going to start adding some things like, you know, a cover, a profile picture, create a username, and maybe even get some likes as well. So we're going to do this one step at a time. I'm doing this for the benefit of users who have totally no clue about how Facebook page actually works. So maybe I'll just do this a little bit slower here, then you can catch the drift, all right? Now, first and foremost, let's click on the most obvious one, that's to add a picture, all right? You can put in any picture you want, and for the fun of it, I'm just going to find a picture from Google. Let's just go to call it BMW. All right, BMW, okay? All right, maybe I'll just go with this nice picture, okay? I'm going to save that into the desktop. All right, and then I'm going to click on update, upload photo. So you can actually reposition the picture however you see fit. You can even scale it closer, zoom in or zoom out, but I think this is good enough. We're just going to leave it be. Like I said, this is just a test page, right? When you actually create this for yourself, you probably want to do it a little bit more seriously. Now, this picture here can be a picture of your own. It can be a logo of your company as well. It's totally up to you. But like I said, this is just a test that we're doing right now. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a cover. Maybe we'll just find another nicer picture or something that's congruent as well. Maybe I'll just go with, let's see. Maybe we'll go with this one, all right? Again, I'm only doing this as an example. It's totally up to you how you want to add your own pictures, but at this point I'm not going to think too much. I just want to make this page look more legit. And click on upload photo, and there we go. So it's going to take a while to upload a picture. It might take several seconds. Okay, there we go. You can actually drag and reposition it, but I think this looks good already. We click on save. And there we go. All right. So you can see there's already a little bit of personalization going on already. I normally like to click X on the reminders at the top. They normally show that to you when your page is very new, but we don't need that, okay? Because one of the big, I won't say big mistake, but a mistake that I see sometimes happen is that some people advertise their Facebook page with no logo, no nothing. It just doesn't build any trust whatsoever. And like I say, it doesn't have to be this picture forever. You can always change the pictures later on, and to a small extent you can even change the name as long as it doesn't deviate from its original intention. Like for example, BMW Motor Works, you can't actually rename it to maybe Audi or something like that, because Facebook just won't allow that, right? But what we're going to do now is that we're going to click on username, and we can give it a username that we want. So in this case, I'm just going to call it BMW Motor Works. Let's see if this exists yet. All right. Okay, so I'm not eligible to create a username, so maybe let's just try adding a dot over here. Does it work? Okay, not. All right. So you can just come up with any name that you like until it actually works, right? So let's just say you're able to create a username, then you have it appear here, all right? Now, it depends on your account. Sometimes you can create and sometimes you can't. And if you can't create right now, you can always try again later. Yeah, Facebook is just like that, all right? The next thing we're going to do is that we are going to click on, the next obvious one is add a button. We're going to keep this very simple. Just say contact you and send message, all right? Now, there are other options that you can do, like send email or WhatsApp, but in the interest of time and keeping things simple, we're just going to click on send message, okay? Click next, and we click on this, and we click finish. That's it. Now, if you want to explore this, you can do it afterwards, but right now, we're going to keep things as straightforward as possible. Now, you're going to notice that this page has 0 likes, and of course, you want to be the first person to like it. We just click on like. I probably would have explained this in other videos, but I just want to let you know that having a number of likes is not so important. Of course, we don't want to run a Facebook ad with like 0 likes on the page. It doesn't build like a lot of credibility with that. But at the same time, you don't have to spend a lot of money getting a lot of likes. You don't need like hundreds or thousands of likes or even like 5-6 figure likes for that matter. And if you want to get likes just to get started, you can just invite your friends or some close people to like your FB page and just be done with it. And after that, you can start advertising on Facebook. Okay? So I just want to get that concern out of the way. If anyone here thinks that you must have like 6-figure likes or 5-figure likes for people to take you seriously, I have ran advertisements to Facebook pages that have like 2-digit likes, 3-digit likes, and I don't find that to be a problem at all. So with that said, I've just got that worry out of the way and that limiting belief for the matter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on settings. So I'm just going to go through everything here for completion's sake. So let's start with general. Okay, shortcuts, page visibility. Yeah, we can leave all this alone. Post and story sharing, by default this is on. If you're planning to share Facebook page stories, you can leave it alone, but let's just say you don't plan to do that, we can click on disable. Okay, messages, people can contact me privately. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. We'll leave all this alone here. In fact, all this is pretty much fine. Okay, the next part we're going to take a look at is profanity filter. Now I would say it's better I recommend that you leave it to medium if you don't want this kind of like people potentially leaving this kind of like vulgar language in a comment section whatsoever. Just put medium. Click save changes. Next thing we're going to take a look at is, alright, all this is pretty much good to go. Okay, so as you can see, in terms of general settings, there's not a lot for you to do. Let's go to page info. And this is where you're going to enter your details for your FB page. So the more detail is, the better it is. So you're going to add a simple description here. I'm just going to call it German engineering at its finest and all things BMW. Okay, I'm just being very straightforward with that one. Of course, it is better that you write a proper description. So for example, I'm just going to pretend that this is a BMW accessory Facebook page. So we share all the latest gadgets, accessories, and mods for BMW cars of all models. Okay, of course, assuming this is true. All right, so we click save changes. Okay, categories cars, we're going to leave that be. Contact number. If you're expecting people to contact you as a local business, you will put in your number. But if this is not relevant, we'll tick on my page does not have a phone number. Okay. Next up, website. I think this is something that you would definitely want to add in for sure. I'm going to just make something up. bmwmotorworks.com. This is not real, by the way. All right. I'm just making this up. Okay, this is the most recommended because I would expect you to have a website. But if you don't have a website, you can just click on my page doesn't have a website, click on save changes. Okay, but right now I'm just going to pretend that you have. Email, if you want people to contact you by email, you can do just that. So I'm just going to put BMW Motorworks or support@bmwmotorworks.com. Assuming again this is your email address, I'm just making this up. If you don't want to put it in here, again, you just click on my page. My page doesn't have an email, and then we're done. Okay, we click on save changes, and that's it. All right. Now address. If you have a premise, then you will put an address here. If you don't, you just untick this, and that's it. All right. Customers visit my business at my street address. Okay. Yeah, we can just leave this alone. All right. If you don't have an address, don't put it here. If you do, then you will. All right. Service area, again, if you are having a premise, then you'll put it here. But if you don't, that's okay. Now, the hours, I'm not going to think too much about it. Again, if you're running an office or a restaurant or something like that, then you will put in your hours. If you're running a virtual business where you're open 24/7, then you can just put always open. All right. It doesn't make sense for you to click on permanently closed, by the way, unless you're really, really out of business. But that's not what we're here for, right? Always open. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, the rest of these details here are fluff, in my opinion. If you have a privacy policy page, you can just put it here for completion's sake. But frankly speaking, you can just leave all of this alone. Next, let's go to messaging. Now, I'm not going to talk about this a lot here. I might cover this next time, but this is not so important that even personally, I do not configure this, okay? Maybe as your business grows, as more people contact you on Facebook, then you can actually come here and set up your auto response message for people that contact you, and you can set up a simple message that says, I'll get back to you, or I've got your message, I'll be talking to you very soon. All right, very simple. Templates and tabs. All right, we're going to do something over here. Okay, so this is something that you will definitely want to minimize the clutter, and you notice that by default you're using the default tabs, which includes all of this like home, post, and the whole list here. But to be very frank, you don't need all of this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to click on turn off the default tabs, and we're going to start removing things that we don't need. So for home, it's always there. Post, yep, you definitely need that. That's how people are going to see your page. Events, now this is not necessary unless you are running an events company or you're planning to run Facebook events, that's okay. But if you're not going to do that, just click off and save. So we have videos, all right, this is integral, this is important, photos is important, about is important, community is important as well, and groups, yeah, you don't really need this, so we're going to click off and save. So what we are left with right now are the essential tabs that people will see on a page, and you can feel free to adjust this around. Just use your mouse and drag and drop around. But personally, I would prefer to make it this arrangement where the about comes first, followed by post, followed by photos, videos, community, and reviews. Okay, reviews is up to you. Some pages have it, but if you want to minimize the clutter, you can put reviews, turn off, and click save. All right. Now that's just me in making this as clutter-free as possible, but if you're expecting customers to leave reviews, which could be a very good thing by the way, it boosts up your social proof, then you can leave that on. So with that said, if you want to start adding back those tabs, you can click on add a tab and select any of the tabs that's available in this list. All right. So yeah, that's really all there is to it for the tab section. And as far as the rest goes, you can pretty much leave all of this alone. It's not so important right now. Maybe one thing I would just like to add is Instagram. If you already have an Instagram account that you would like to connect, so all you got to do is just click on connect account, put in your username and password, log in, and you will be able to connect your Facebook page to your Instagram account. So that's something you can consider doing. And again, as for the rest, it's not so important. We can leave out the rest. So let's go back to page. And as you can see here, for a brand new page that was just done in the last several minutes, including me explaining to you, you can see it's actually very easy. It's not difficult at all. All right. And of course, to get things started, it's better that you put in some starting content so it doesn't look like a shallow, hollowed out page. I would recommend that you put in the first 3 to 4 posts. And you can put in more like an introduction. You can like share some of the things that you do, what kind of results you can bring for your clients or your customers, what are the products you're selling. You can just put in like 3 or 4 posts just to get things started out, all right? And the cool part is that right now with Facebook, you can even schedule your posts in advance for the next 6 months, in fact. Okay, you can share photos, you can share videos, or even written posts for that matter, and it's as simple as that. I'm not going to actually do that here because it's quite self-explanatory and it depends on your business. Okay, so that's really all there is to it as far as creating a Facebook page goes. You can see how simple that is and how intuitive that is as well. And I hope you do take note of some of the things that I highlight to you so that we can get started on a very good note and on the right foot before we advertise on Facebook. So there you go. Take care and talk to you again in the next video. Alright, so we're going to get our first look into the ads manager that we had newly created. And at this point, make sure that you have already accomplished the following steps. And that is, you have created a business manager account, and that's why we're seeing this. You had also created your ad account, and that's why we're seeing this. You had also added your payment method, and you have at least added one page, whether it's a page that you already have or a page that we have newly created, such as this one. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to take our first look into the Ads Manager account. So how do we enter the Ads Manager account is by clicking on this. or you can even click on the ads manager on the left here. So it all goes to the same place, all right? So this is the place where you're going to create your campaigns and advertise from. So as a brand new account, you're not going to see anything here whatsoever. And if you are an absolute beginner, then you might be thinking like, what am I looking at right now? So don't worry, I'm just going to guide you through every step of the way and make sure that by the time we're done with this video or the entire training, you will have a clear understanding of how Facebook advertising works. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to configure your ads manager column first. So I'm not going to talk about the campaigns. I'm not going to talk about ad set or ads. I'll cover that in another video. But right now, it's important that we see the details or the data that we want to see. So normally by default, you will be seeing this thing called columns performance. And yes, it's a bit hard to imagine right now because we haven't run anything whatsoever. We haven't created anything just yet. But I want us to get off on the right foot and a right start. So what we're going to do is follow my lead here, okay? Just follow me closely. Click on columns performance, and you're going to see that there are many types of data that you can actually see. But we're not going to use any of this. We're going to do it things our way, all right? Click on customize columns. And okay, for absolute beginners, this might seem rather overwhelming. It might seem a little bit crazy. I remember when I did this the first time, I was overwhelmed as well. But follow me closely, all right? Follow me closely. Now, I'm doing this with the intention that we are going to be tracking the number of leads, but you can also use this to track like purchases or completed registration or any other things you want to see, all right? Right now, what we're going to do is that on the right column here, we're going to click X on every single item here. Okay, we're going to click X, which basically means it removes the column, and now we're just left with one column called the campaign name. Now this is the only thing that cannot be removed. So I'm going to share with you the metrics or the columns that I normally view. So follow me closely. The first thing we're going to have a look at is the ad set delivery. Okay, we'll click ad set delivery. Basically, this explains the status of the campaign. Is it in review? Is it rejected? Is it active? Is it completed? We will know. All right, so that's called ad set delivery. The next thing we're going to add is budget. All right, so you might notice that I'm typing the search up here because if you scroll all the way down, there's a lot of things to look at. And I'll be very frank, even I do not know every single item that is over here, but it just goes to show that you don't have to be an expert in everything on Facebook. You only need to know enough how it works and start getting results. So one quick way is to just go to search, type in the word budget. We'll select the first one, and there we go. So budget basically means how much are you allocating a day or in total for that ad set or campaign, which again, if you do not know what that means, it'll make sense later, okay? The next thing we're going to look at is amount spent. All right, amount spent. Now the difference between budget and amount spent is basically budget is how much are you going to set aside in a day. Amount spent is how much money have you spent so far, whether today, yesterday, or the last 7 days, or whichever time window you're going to put afterwards. All right, not to worry again. All this will be explained to you in due time. All right, so that's the difference between budget and amount spent. The next thing we're going to look for is we're going to look at impressions. Okay, we're going to type in the word impressions. There's quite a few here. We'll select the first one, and then we're going to select the next one called CPM. So CPM stands for cost per 1,000 impression. So what does impression mean? Now, when someone scrolls down their Facebook newsfeed or Instagram for that matter, and they pass by your advertisement, now whether they are aware of it or not, that counts as one impression. And if someone scrolls by it the second time, that counts as 2 impressions, even though it might come from the same person. So cost per 1,000 impression basically indicates how much are you spending for reaching up to 1,000 impressions or 1,000 people scrolling. All right, that's what it means. Now I want you to know that there's a difference between the word impression and the word reach. So reach is how many people is this advertisement reaching out to. All right, impressions on the other hand can mean that the same person can actually view your advertisement more than once. All right, so I'll give an example here. If you are getting 1,000 reach, it basically means that 1,000 people have at least seen your ad once. All right, Impression, on the other hand, would mean that how many times has it been viewed. So it might actually be 500 people viewing the same advertisement twice. So 500 times 2 would mean 1,000 impressions. So I'm just using that as an example to illustrate the difference between reach and impression. Now, personally, I will not include reach here because I think that's not so important. We're just going to leave it with impressions and cost per 1,000 impression. I'm also going to explain to you slowly that depending on which country or which audience you're targeting, typically if you are targeting countries such as the United States, European Union, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, or countries that are considered as tier 1 countries, you'll be fortunate if you're getting $40 or below for cost per 1,000 impressions. So I'm just using this as a benchmark. On the other hand, if you're aiming for Asian countries or Southeast Asian countries, it is possible to get $10 or below for the CPM. All right. Now, don't be too obsessed with the cost per 1,000 impression. I'm just giving you as a benchmark on what to look out for, because at the end of the day, the most important metric is the cost per result, as in like cost per lead, cost per purchase. That to me is the most important metric to look at, which we're going to get to afterwards. Next thing we're going to add, okay, is link clicks. So you can see there's quite a number of choices here. We're going to click the first one, link clicks, and CPC, cost per link click. That means how many people are clicking on your post or the link in your Facebook ad, okay? And how much does it cost to actually get them to do it? So for example, if you spend $100 and you get 100 clicks, that means you're spending $1 a click to have people visit your website from your Facebook advertisement, okay? So that's what we're looking at right now. And this is important to an extent, not so much about the cost per click, but more like sometimes when you're doing a split test, you want to make sure that enough people are clicking on your website to make a decision. So some people make the mistake of removing their advertisement a little bit too soon. They say it's not performing after quite some time, but they realize that not even 100 people have visited their website. So normally for me, when I do a split test, I want to make sure that at least 100 people have been to my website to determine the conversion rate, because it's a lot better to determine after at least 100 to 200 or even a few hundred people visit your website compared to someone who's like, you know, you've only got like 20, 30 clicks and you decided that the campaign was a failure, okay? So you don't want to be jumping to conclusions like that, all right? Next, we're going to go with this thing called CTR, okay? CTR stands for click-through rate. So we're going to select two types, CTR in bracket link click-through rate and CTR all. So you might be wondering what is the difference between these two. So click-through or in bracket link click-through rate is basically someone who has clicked on the link or the post in your Facebook ad, okay? So normally I would like to aim for 1% and above. So if 1% and above, it means that people are clicking on your advertisement, people are noticing it. For every 100 cold audience, at least one person is clicking on the ad, and to me that's considered good. If you're doing a 1.5% to 2% and above, then you're doing rather phenomenal. Now, with that said, you might be wondering what's the difference between these two then? Like what's CTR in bracket all? Like how's that different? So if you write long posts or when someone clicks on like or comment, then that will contribute to the click-through here as well. So you would normally find out that the CTR in bracket all would always be higher than the CTR in bracket link click-through rate. So as a rule of thumb, if I find that the CTR all is at least double the rate of CTR link click-through, then I think that's considered rather good. So for example, if I'm getting a 1% click-through rate, which is considered good, the higher the better, and the CTR all is like 2 to 3%, then I would consider this as a healthy advertisement. That means people are at least clicking on see more, they're clicking on to like, comment, whatsoever. Then we know that people are taking notice of the advertisement, okay? So now all these are fine and dandy, but like I said earlier, the most important thing is always the results. So if you are running a lead generation campaign, we will type in the word leads. Okay, we'll click on total and cost, all right? So you might notice in leads here, there's website leads, offline leads, on Facebook leads. We don't need that. We'll just uncheck all of this. All right, we'll uncheck all of this because you only want to see what kind of leads we're getting at the end of the day and the cost per lead. So if you're running a lead generation campaign, this will be the most important metric compared to the others. All right. So for example, if you spend $100 and you got 50 leads, that means you're spending $2 a lead right now. Okay, it's as simple as that. So yes, that's really all there is to it. You can add any other metrics that you want to, but like I said, this is the simplest that I would like to keep, and I'll leave it at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Save as Preset at the bottom left here, and let's just call it Lead Gen, okay? And click on Apply. So every time we create a campaign, we'll view it based on the budget, amount spent, impressions, cost per 1,000 impression, link clicks, CPC, which means cost per link click-through rate, CTR all, leads, and cost per lead. Okay, and as an added note, if you want to make sure that this is the default settings that you see every time you log into your ads manager, you will click on columns, click on set as default, and we're done. That's it. So every time we log in here, like I'm going to just refresh this right now, we will see the lead generation columns as the default, because if you didn't do that, you'll always see performance or the other default settings like this. Okay, that's not what we want. We want it to be lead generation. And if you want to configure the columns again, just go back to columns, click on customize columns, and you can remove or add or even rearrange the columns as you see fit, and click on apply. Yes, that's really all there is to it. Okay, so I just want to set you off on the right track, and I'll see you in another video. This is a continuation from my previous video on how to configure your ads manager column. So previously I talked about how you can create a lead generation performance column, and some of you might be thinking, okay, that might not be so applicable to my business because I could be running in e-commerce or I'm selling my own products, so I should be tracking based on purchases rather than lead generation, and that's totally fine. So what I'm going to do is that in this video, especially for those that are doing e-commerce or you're selling your own products, I'm going to show you how to slightly tweak the configuration for the ads manager column. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on the top here at columns, and we're going to click on customize columns. Okay, so it's almost the same thing except that we're going to remove leads and cost per lead. Okay, so I'm just going to go through everything for completion's sake. We'll go with campaign name, ad set delivery, budget, amount spent, impressions, cost per 1,000 impression, link clicks, CPC, CTR, CTR, all these are still important. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the last two columns, all right, leads and cost per lead. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add in this word called purchase. Okay, purchases, we'll click on total, value, and cost. All right, let's click at the bottom here. And again, you might notice something familiar is that we have all these boxes here, which is really not important. So we uncheck them. Okay, we uncheck all of this. All right, so we get to see purchases, which means like how many products being sold. So for example, let's say you're selling an ebook right now and you have sold 10 ebooks at $10 each as an example. Okay, so the purchase will show as 10, all right, 10 ebooks. Conversion value will be 10 times 10, it will be $100, okay? And if you're wondering how do we decide what's the value of the conversions, all that, I'll cover that in Facebook pixel creation, all right? And the next thing is cost per purchase. So let's just say, for example, we spent $100 and we have gotten 10 purchases, so the cost per purchase will be $10. So it's more like a break even going on right now, okay? So I'm just giving you a simple illustration, and that would lead to one more metric to include, which is purchase return on ad spend, or ROAS. So some marketers, funnily, they call it ROAS, okay, or ROAS. So if I say the word ROAS, this is exactly what I mean, okay? Return on ad spend, or in simpler terms for some people, it's return on investment. So again, if you had spent $100 and you made $100 back, you would have gotten a 1 ROAS. That means it's 1.0, all right? Now, let's just say that the books are $20, okay? And we had spent $100, we had sold 10 copies, times $20 is $200. So $200 divided by $100 in advertising spend, it will be ROAS of 2. That means we're getting a 2 times return on ad spend, okay? So that's exactly how purchase works. So what you can do right now is we can click on Save as Preset, and let's just call it Purchase. All right. So that's exactly what this is right now. Now, you might be running an e-commerce store and you would have probably a few more metrics that you want to look at. So let's go to customize columns again, and we're going to add a few things such as add to cart. So you can see that there's add to cart over here, total. You can also add the value if you would like, and also the cost. It's pretty much similar here as well. Okay, so if you're integrating this with the likes of Shopify, WooCommerce, or any other e-commerce platforms, so these are the things that you normally would like to take a look at. So actually, you don't really need unique for this one. Okay, just total cost of add to cart. All right. So some people might even use a different term called initiate checkout or IC. Checkouts initiated could be another term that you're using as well, but this depends on the platform that you are using. Okay, so with that said, you can put add to cart here and click on save as preset, and I'm just going to call it e-commerce. All right, so these are some of the metrics that you will normally be looking at when you're doing a purchase conversion value, or if you're running e-commerce, you will want to add on the add to cart. So you can have a look at how many people are adding to cart, how many people are actually making the final purchases. You'll be able to track and decide from there. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a Facebook pixel, and later we're going to install this piece of code and put it onto your website. And this is imperative because this is how Facebook is able to track the visitors and the data that's going on your website, and that would contribute to your conversions campaign. So for every action taken, whether it's a purchase or sign up or add to cart or anything like that, that is exactly how Facebook can track the data and send it back to your ads manager. So let's suspend all the geek talk over here and just get down to doing it. All right, it's rather simple really, despite what I'm telling you right now. So what we're going to do is that we're now in your business manager account, and we're going to go to Events Manager. Okay, so it's on the left. Click on Events Manager. Now, if you're seeing this for the first time, I'm using another account by the way, so it's rather a bit established somewhat. But if you're doing this for the first time, you're going to see absolutely nothing here at all. It's going to be a blank slate. All right. So what you want to do is on the left menu here, you'll click on this green plus icon called Connect Data Sources. So don't worry about the geek talk and all that, okay? So just follow me step by step on this. Now I have to say that before this video was recorded, adding a Facebook pixel used to be a step simpler, but not to worry, it is still quite easy to do it, all right? Just with a bit of changes. So with that said, I want you to select Web, click on Get Started, and you will select Facebook pixel and click Connect. Now you're going to give a name to a pixel, which again you can give it any name you want. Only you can see it, and if you don't like the name, you can always change the name afterwards. Now, for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to name it after a website that I will be adding this pixel to. All right, so I'm just going to call it Shopodium.co. You can call it any name you want, and over here you're going to add in your website URL. Although it says it's optional, you can still put in your website. And if you're asking, can I put this same pixel on multiple websites, that is still okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this right now. Okay, this is just an example. This will be your own website, and then we'll click on Continue. And yes, we're done. Okay, so what happens here is that we had already created a Facebook pixel somewhere in the background. I created this thing called Shopodium.co, and you might want to take note of the ID here. So at this point, we're going to add the Facebook pixel to your website. Now, this is where it gets a little bit open-ended because this really depends on what kind of website you're using. So I'm going to use, for the purpose of example, WordPress. 1 in every 4 websites on the internet is using WordPress, so this is quite a common plugin. So if you're using WordPress, you will just click on this, okay? If there are any other integrations, let's just see what else that's available. We'll click on select another integration, and there are other partner integrations you can choose from. So if you're using Shopify, which is a very popular e-commerce platform, you can also click on Shopify and also follow the steps. At this point, you had already created your Facebook pixel, and assuming that you're using WordPress, this is how you add a Facebook pixel. Now I have to say that this step is actually quite intuitive. All you need to do is, we're going to continue from where we last left off. We click on WordPress and click confirm. And all you have to do is just follow the steps. But I'll demonstrate to you using one of this available WordPress accounts or a WordPress website so that you can have a look at how this is supposed to work. Okay. So first of all, select features. I recommend that you just click on advanced matching. You can leave this alone. We'll click on continue. And then the next step, you're asked to download a plugin. All right, so we just click on download. All right. And then the next thing we're going to do is, now at this point here, it's like I said, it's rather intuitive. We're just going to follow the steps that is being shown here. It's a screenshot step. So what you need to do right now is to log into your WordPress website. And for this purpose, I had done exactly just that. Okay, so I've logged into my WordPress website. I go down to plugins. So let's see where else it's going, right? And then it says add new. Okay, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to install the plugin. All right, so we go to plugins, we click on add new. Again, you have to be logged into your WordPress website. Okay, if you're using WordPress, this is exactly what you're going to do. We'll click on upload plugin, choose a file, and we'll select the zip file that we had just downloaded. Okay, and then we'll click on install now. This will take several seconds. And we are somewhat done. Okay, all we need to do is click on activate plugin, and yeah, that's it. Okay, the Facebook pixel has been installed. And if you want to be sure about it, there's this sort of like it's not really a warning, it's more like a heads up. Let's just click there for a while. Or if you want to go to settings, you can go to Facebook pixel, and you notice that your pixel ID number would already be here right away. So this also coincides with the ID number for this pixel. Okay, so it seems that we did the steps a little bit in advance. We're pretty much done already, and all we need to do is verify whether the pixel is working correctly. We'll put in the name of the website, which is shopodium.co. Let's click send test traffic, and what we're doing is that we're basically testing whether this works or not. All right, now this is a website that was just built rather quickly for the purpose of testing, so at least we know this works. And if you do it right, there'll be a green button here that says active. We'll click on continue, and yeah, we're actually already done. That's it. So at this point, setting up events, I'm going to skip this. It's not important right now. I'll talk about this in another video. But I just want to say that this is all there is to it when it comes to setting up your Facebook pixel on WordPress. As you can see, it's rather easy. We'll click close and we're done. After installing your Facebook pixel, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to create an event code. And this is what we need exactly to track successful actions that's being taken on your website, such as how do we know people that are signing up to your website through your landing page and they end up on the thank you page. So we need to install an extra piece of code or another step over there. Now I have to admit that I kind of miss the old way of setting things up, because I would say that's a little bit more intuitive, but this is also just as easy to set up, just in a different way, and I'm going to show you how to do just that. Now at this point, be sure that you have your landing page and your thank you page ready to go. Then we can do this step. Okay, so if you haven't done that just yet, pause this video, make sure that your landing page and your thank you page are ready to go, and then I'm going to show you how to set up your lead event. Alright, okay, so let's get going. I'm going to just use one of my pixels here as an example to show you how to create an event code. Now just ignore all these things that you're seeing here right now, because if you're looking at a brand new account, you're not going to see any activity, and that's irrelevant here. Okay, so we select the pixel that you're going to be using. So in your case, you probably just created one. We'll click on add events, and we're going to select this thing called from the pixel. Okay, so we're going to click on this blue button called open event setup tool. Now over here, we're going to put in the address of your thank you page. So that means when people sign up to your landing page, they enter their details into your autoresponder, you're going to redirect them to this page called the thank you page. So you will put in your address for the thank you page here. So in my case, I'm just going to put one of the examples here. Make sure that the page is already published and it already exists. Okay, click on open website. here we are. So you will notice that we are visiting the thank you page for one of my landing page offers here, and there's this window that you can see at the top left, okay? Events on this page and all events, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on leads. So we're going to track leads here, okay? You can see that there are many other types. There's view content, submit application, there's complete registration. It's up to you actually how you want to define it. So we're going to select leads. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on track a URL, okay? And select the event you like to track. You can call it anything you want. I'm going to go with leads because it's the most obvious. And URL equals to this exact address that I just published, okay? I'm going to click on confirm. So what this just means here, if you look at the bottom right, setup complete, the lead event is live and being tracked. So what this means to say that from now on, whoever visits this particular page, the event will fire. So what does it mean by event firing is that for someone who comes from Facebook ad and they end up on this page, we're going to track it as one action called a lead, all right? And you can see that this is also applicable if you give it other names like complete registration, scheduling, whatsoever. But I just go with leads because it's the most straightforward and easy to understand. And once we're done, we just click on finish setup and we're done. Okay, that's really all there is to it.